In the aftermath of a devastating flood, a man risked everything to rescue a drowning baby leopard clinging to life. Just as relief set in, the mother appeared. But what she did next left everyone stunned. Her unexpected reaction turned a simple act of courage into an unforgettable moment. In 2013, historic floods swept through South Africa's Munabi National Park, transforming once dry roads into muddy rivers. Rangers received urgent orders to patrol the area, assess the damage, and rescue any endangered wildlife. At dawn, they set out in amphibious vehicles, their tires churning slowly through the rising water. Overhead, a gray sky loomed after days of relentless rain, deepening the summer mood. Branches hung low, heavy with moisture, and parts of the ground had been severely eroded by the floodwaters. Team leader Sean stayed in constant contact with the center through his walkie-talkie, relaying everything they encountered. After such a devastating flood, the team knew countless wild animals were likely stranded or in distress. Their top priority was to ensure no creature was left injured or helpless without aid. The team paused several times to wade through the water, clearing fallen branches that obstructed their route. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the full extent of the flood's destruction became more apparent. At a particularly shallow stretch of the river, where the current still rushed swiftly but wasn't as deep, they suddenly spotted a cheetah standing perfectly still. The mother cheetah let out low groans, her head lowered, eyes filled with panic and pain. Mud and fallen reeds surrounded her, while the floodwater continued to slowly recede. As the vehicle crept forward, the team spotted a cub lying motionless beside her. The heartbreaking sight made everyone's chest tighten. It appeared the tiny cub was no longer moving. They turned off the engine and quietly stepped into the water so as not to frighten the mother cheetah. The two rescuers, Gerald and Carl, slowly walked towards the cub, raising their hands to signal not to harm it while calling for people to prepare first aid equipment. The mother leopard roared and took a few steps back, her eyes filled with pain but also a glimmer of hope. From her many years of experience, Sean guessed that the cub had drowned due to the flood. They understood that time was extremely precious, and they had to act immediately if they still had a chance. Gerald carefully knelt down, placing his hand on the cub's small chest to check its heartbeat. Carl prepared medical equipment, including an oxygen tube and an artificial respirator. They discovered that the cub's heartbeat was very weak, as if it had been submerged in water for too long. Without hesitation, Gerald began external cardiac massage to stimulate the cub's heart to beat again. Carl helped pump oxygen into the lungs, trying to push the water out of the respiratory tract. Sean and the others stood outside, both reassuring the mother leopard and keeping an eye on the surroundings. The sound of running water, wind, and the tense heartbeat seemed to blend together into an urgent melody. The mother leopard seemed to sense the sincerity of the rescue team, standing closer, her eyes never leaving the cub. The Rangers silently prayed for a miracle to happen. They had witnessed many successful rescues, but there were also many times when things came too late. After a few minutes of tense resuscitation, the cub suddenly coughed and started breathing again. The whole team burst into joy. Sean shouted loudly, "Success!" Against the gloomy gray sky, the mother leopard let out a screech. Not sure what the sound was, but it sounded like a cry mixed with happiness. The cub opened its eyes slightly, its body trembling from the cold and exhaustion. Gerald gently placed his hand on its head, patting it as a gesture of reassurance. Carl used a towel soaked in warm water, trying to dry the fur soaked in river water. A few seconds of astonishment passed. The cub slowly turned its head to look for its mother. Seeing that her cub had regained consciousness, the mother leopard immediately approached and gently rubbed her muzzle against her cub's shoulder. The warm growl of the mother leopard dispelled the previous anxious atmosphere. The scene of the reunion between mother and cub moved all the rescue team members beyond words. At that moment, a cold wind blew, causing the cub to shiver even more. Sean immediately signaled the team to bring more thick scarves to warm up. While Gerald continued to check its breathing, Carl and another member worked together to shield the mother and cub from the wind. The rescue vehicle was still parked nearby, its headlights illuminating the shimmering water. The sound of the engine seemed to worry the mother, but she remained still because she knew her cub needed help. The ranger named Janet stepped forward and gently placed another layer of towel over the cub to keep it warm. The cub shivered, but its eyes were more lively and its tail was wagging slightly. This was a positive sign that it had recovered a little. Seeing this, the group felt that their efforts had not been in vain. Their faith and love for animals were further strengthened. After the cub's condition was relatively stable, the rescue team began to check for other signs of injury. They discovered that the cub's hind legs had a few scratches, possibly from the impact of the flood. Carl applied a mild antiseptic and then covered them with a thin bandage. The mother cub glanced at them but remained still, knowing that they were helping her cub. "You're doing great, little one." Gerald stroked the cub's spotted head. Its breathing was more even. The rain had just stopped, making the air fresher, carrying the damp scent of the earth and sky. The first rays of sunlight penetrated the clouds, shining on the still-flowing stream. The birds began to sing like a chorus, welcoming a peaceful morning. The scene made people forget the fierceness that had just happened, but the rangers knew that their work was not over yet. Janet suggested taking the cub back to the center for monitoring, but Sean analyzed, if its condition is not too serious, it is best to let the mother and child return to the wild. Gerald agreed because the infancy stage is when the cub needs to learn survival skills from its mother. Once again, they checked the cub's pulse and heart rate, making sure it showed no signs of respiratory failure. The cub was still weak, but its eyes showed resilience, showing its will to get up and follow its mother. The mother gently licked her cub's face as if to encourage her. The rangers were delighted to see the strong bond between the mother and her baby cheetah. They understood that if the cub were separated, it could cause psychological damage as well as hinder the process of learning to hunt in the wild. So the decision was made. After first aid and cleaning, they would let the mother and baby go home. However, before leaving, the staff still wanted to completely dry the cub's fur and check it carefully one more time. This was also a way for them to show their full concern, ensuring that they did not miss any risks. Carl carefully used a dry towel to wipe the cub's fur, removing the stubborn mud. Janet used a warm towel to apply more, helping the cub resist the cold morning after the flood. They changed the bandage and applied antibiotics to prevent infection in the wound on the leg. Each movement was carried out with great care, ensuring the cub wouldn't feel frightened or experience further pain. The mother stood close by, ears perked and watchful, yet no longer gripped by panic. The gentle compassion of the rescue team appeared to have reached her heart. As Janet gently patted the cub's small back, it let out a faint cry, almost as if whispering a thank you. Sean smiled, certain that he and his team had done the right thing, not just saving a life, but helping protect the delicate balance of nature. Every gesture and glance from the group radiated quiet pride in the conservation mission they had committed themselves to. At last, when everything was complete, the cub found the strength to stand and wobbled toward its mother. They gently touched noses, a tender gesture that spoke of a reunion filled with tears and joy. Gerald, Carl, Janet, and Sean stepped back, giving them space to reconnect in freedom. Morning light spilled across the scene, turning the remaining drops of water on the cub's spotted fur to gold. The mother cheetah looked toward the rangers, dipping her head slightly in a gesture of heartfelt thanks. The cub glanced back too, its tail flicking gently before turning to follow its mother's slow, steady steps. The team stood silently, watching as the pair disappeared into the damp, sunlit grass. The road ahead remained challenging, but that day, they had faced nature's cruelty with compassion and expertise. Though the scent of mud and rain still hung in the air, a quiet warmth filled everyone's hearts. And as dawn broke, the rescue vehicle pulled away from the riverbank, leaving behind a powerful story of love, resilience, and life in the wild. What do you think of this story? Let us know in the comments section. I hope you liked this story. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also, subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss updates from our channel. Thank you.